This land was never ceded, it always has been and always will be Aboriginal land. And I think we need to do all we can, stand alongside our First Nations people in their fight for justice, in their fight for treaties, and in their fight for self-determination. So thank you so much for inviting me here. And I must say, I am very honored to have been the first Muslim woman to be in any parliament in Australia, and now the first Muslim senator in Australia as well. And I'm humbled by that opportunity. You know, I'm an Australian, Pakistani, migrant Muslim woman. I think it's such a wonderful way today to celebrate International Women's Day with the Muslim, Welfare Women's Australia actually highlighting the work of so many Muslim women who live in Australia and who call this country home. And on International Women's Day, I think it's really important to remember as well the so many achievements of women have achieved before us, and that has made our life much easier. So, we fought hard and we won many struggles. We won the right to vote, we won the right to work in so many different professions. We've won the right to stand for parliaments. But of course, there is so much more to be done. Because, we don't still get equal pay for equal work in Australia. Even though we've won the right to stand for parliaments, our representation is pretty low in parliaments. And people who look like you and me and Pallavi hardly dare to see in our parliaments. So I think it's important to reflect and support women like us to be in positions of leadership, because without that support, it cannot happen. And we do know that domestic violence has pretty much become an epidemic in Australia. And I'd just like to take a minute to remember Dr. Reddy, who was just recently quite violently killed a couple of days ago. And I think these moments are so sad, and we don't need for women to die and to be killed before we do something to prevent domestic violence. Thank you. Thank you. But if you reflect on history, we know that women have always been central to struggles for social justice, to struggles for environmental justice. Some of those women are remembered, they are in history books, others are completely invisible. And I think one group of women, which is quite invisible from the pages of history, is actually Muslim women. Even though we know that from time immemorial, Muslim women have been leading the charge. Just remember the wife of Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, Khadija. She was a merchant like 1500 years ago. Remember Razia Sultana. She was the first Sultan of Delhi in the 13th century. That's the part of the world I come from. We've had women leaders in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in India, way before we had a woman prime minister in Australia. And look how we treated her. So I think today it's important to remember our history and move forward really proudly. But then again, no one's going to lay out a red carpet for us, I'm afraid. We've got to do it ourselves. And I think this is a really good example of how we're doing it ourselves. We need to support each other. We need to make sure that we not just support each other, but we support other women in positions like ours who are being silenced every day. That's Aboriginal women, that's migrant women, that's refugee women, that's trans women. Because at the end of the day, we are more powerful together. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you very much, Doreen.